What's up everyone, Billy here from Box Tools, bringing you another toy review, and today we are looking at the Delta Squad Megazord. Or Supreme Megazord as it was known for the box in like US retailers. I don't know why necessarily, but that's what it says on the US release. This is the Japanese release, but it is my S.W.A.T Megazord for my collection. This is continuing my review series of SPD Megazords now that we are in the year 2025, which is the year that SPD took place. As you can see, this set of Zords are based on just, various flyers. Nothing too specific, obviously, because they are futuristic looking, and not too sure why S.W.A.T would have all flyer Zords, considering like the Delta runners were a mixture kind of. But yeah, I mean, it adds something different. And then this is the Zord where it like swaps the color palette. So like instead of white being the main color on all the Zords, it's black now. So, but I enjoy the look of the Zords overall. I never owned this as a kid when SPD was airing, so to have it in my collection is pretty cool because it's one of those things that I just always wanted. There's a lot to talk about in this, so let's go ahead and take a look at all of the individual Zords and pieces. All right, first up is the S.W.A.T Flyer one, so the Red Ranger Zord. This is basically the same purpose as the Delta Runner one, whereas it's like the main body, torso, and head component of the set. It is got some very tiny wings, which I think is funny. Down here it has landing gear, which I turned out for all the other ones, so do that real quick. Where it allows it to roll, rolls pretty decently, even on my setup. Down here, where we can turn it on, and it'll have very similar sounds to Delta Runner 1. Nothing too unique from it. And then we can compare it to Delta Runner 1, and you can see they're pretty much the same size. There is a weird difference in stature once I show you the combination or the combined forms. But other than that, I mean, they're pretty much the same. This one would be this way if it was to match up with the arm pegs. But yeah. Then we have the S.W.A.T Flyer 2, which is the Blue Ranger Zord. There is a way to store the blasters in this mode because it is the hands, and they can combine here, so they could go like that. I don't think that's screen accurate. I know it's not screen accurate, but yeah. And like I said, they all have landing gear so they can roll. Yeah, you can see an obvious trigger here for something later, a special mode, but it is the only flyer to flyer. This one's more like a helicarrier thing, but you can see similar size, even though this one serves a different purpose in the S.W.A.T Megazord. Then S.W.A.T Flyer 3, a completely different size, shape for the Green Ranger Zord. But just like the others, this one is kind of more like a tank with wings. It still rolls, but not as well because it's just a giant brick down there. And you compare that to the trailer, very different. But yeah, this one's like the thighs. And then 4 and 5 are both also very tiny again. These ones are just now the feet, nothing else. Whereas like the original Delta Squad Megazord, they were arms. But you can see the other Zords, they're all pretty tiny. And yeah, that's pretty much it for them. They roll too, just like that. All right, and just like the Delta Squad cars, you can store the SWAT flyers in the Delta Command base. You want it in this formation because they fly out of it in the show. So I don't know how clean I'll be able to do this, but you're supposed to be able to open these at the same time. And there you can see 5 and 3. 3, you got to do a weird thing to get it in there. And then over here, you got 4 and 2. Try to turn it so you can see. And then down here, you got 1. It's in there. But yeah, so that's how they store in there. You got to do some weird things. Like 2, you got to fold the wings up and like that, and then just fold them down. Extend these bits to get it to back ready to fly. 4 can just fly out without anything. 1, you gotta take out and then fold out the wings. 3 is the other weird one where it's like long, but then you do that, fold out the wings, and then 5 is the same. It has nothing special it has to do. But yeah, that's how they work with the Delta Command base. All right, and so instead of a bunch of different little like play features like the Delta Squad Megazord has with all of its individual components, this has just a third mode to where it can become a blaster, a giant blaster in the show because it's a Megazord-sized blaster. And to do that, we have to do some combining. So first, blue will become the trigger. You want to collapse these, and then that's pretty much all you have to do for it. Then we'll be getting close to the transformation, so we'll do that, and then these fold over because that'll be like a belt when it's in the Megazord mode, but that's all you have to do for that. And then for yellow and pink, you need to fold down the landing gear, and then that's going to be like one of the blasters. And then same thing with pink. Fold down those, has an extra one, and then like that. And the only real way to know which side they go on is to reference the Delta Squad Megazord. So these are the size when it's like this. And then green, you need to split like so, and then combine it on here like that. And then yeah, so this is going to go on here, but it's going to spin down that way. And then the same thing here with yellow, it goes the other way. So that's the barrels. Real quick, before we combine blue, you'll want to turn it on so we can actually do the blaster sounds. Then slide blue on using this rail. There we have it. And these can form a stand, so they clip together like so, and then they'll combine down here. There's some peg holes. That way you can stand it up. And if you hold it, that's where that last sound came from. And I'm not going to get the Delta Command Megazord out for the full thing, but you can kind of recreate the scene where all the Megazords do their like big blast together. And have them stand around it. Mainly just because I don't have enough space on this setup for the video. But yeah, I think that's pretty neat. something to think about if you have the whole set, a way to display them all together. And so typically this is the finisher move, so the S.W.A.T Megazord would transform into this and then finish. We're just doing it the reverse way. So the way you get the handle off is there's this little thing here that you just slide down, and then the arms come off. We'll go ahead and turn off that so we don't get the annoying beep. Then we'll take the blasters off, and then the feet just need to turn around. They're kind of like wide stanced like that. And then you take the S.W.A.T flyer too, will disconnect. And like I said, its different role is that it's the arms. We'll fold this back. You'll need to push up this nose cone to reveal the head, and then turn the head. We'll put the arms on. Like so, and then flip up its little horn. Give it its blasters. And it does make combination noises. There we go. Just like the Delta Squad. Turn that off. But yeah, no posability in this thing. It does look great though, honestly. Cool S.W.A.T helmet. The SPD on the side of the head. The shiny badge. And then as for size comparisons, the rest of the Megazord line, along with, so you can see how big those are together. Same scale as the Delta Squad. Omega Max is bigger, and then Command is a lot bigger. And that's been it for this one, everyone. Final thoughts for the S.W.A.T Megazord or Supreme Megazord, depending if you want it to be toy accurate or show accurate. I really like this design overall. The black as the main color is just a nice contrast to the rest of the toy line, where they use the white base and then the Ranger colors. It really gives it that like SWAT or special ops feel that they were going for. And then the extra like playability of like the blaster mode that you can do it like from the show, just does everything that you need for the toy. And yeah, not much else to say on it. If you are collecting the SPD toy line, I do think it is a nice addition if you can find one. It is pretty hard to come by, but you know, typical places that you want to check for that. But yeah, that's been it for the Power Rangers SPD Megazord toy line. I do have another review coming up, so keep an eye out for that. That is also SPD related, to keep celebrating their 20th anniversary. Another reminder, make sure to use my community tab on my YouTube page to share what you are collecting currently. It doesn't have to be the current toy line. If you find some like holy grails or just anything that you're adding to your collection, I want to see it there. So make sure to post there, and then also keep an eye out for more YouTube shorts, as those are my short form way to communicate with you guys on what I'm getting and to keep up to date with all that stuff. But also follow me on Instagram at instagram.com/boxcollectibles if you already aren't. I am doing some fun stuff over there, so check that out. And yeah, thanks for watching.